Nice to meet all of you. This is Paulina, based in Berlin, and she is a very talented multidisciplinary transmedia storyteller, digital artist, and also a lecturer nowadays. So she, like some of the mentors you have already met, Paulina has a deep research on not only digital arts itself, but a lot of research theory work before that. She's quite a geek girl. We can spend like 6 hours just discussing like stones and what is the history of rocks, of the geography of the place, and and she's the one that, if you guys were at the open panel discussion, she scanned the skeleton of a crocodile with photogrammetry, and they have learned that recently with Christina, and she has put that crocodile skeleton onto a virtual world, and he started to animate that to give it a digital longevity. And I think that is like super interesting to combine analog with virtual space. And she has 2 days of workshop. Today will be on Sparks AR, like some fun stuff happening, face filter, what's not. And tomorrow is on A-frame. So without further ado, let's welcome Paulina, and you can introduce yourself even more. Yay, I give you my
Hello to everybody. I hope we are all in. Anyway, we are starting today, but we will also continue tomorrow. We will do pretty interesting excursus about mixed reality and how to convert this mixed reality into storytelling, how to engage with both digital and physical together. And today we will start focusing on characters that are always present in storytelling. And we will do a workshop on Spark AR and Instagram filters, which some bases, of course, can be also applied in other softwares and other way of thinking. So it will be kind of interesting. Plus, you will learn how to do your own Instagram filters, so you can submit anytime, anywhere. Maybe especially for the end of the course and for your digital museum. I saw that you have an Instagram page. So maybe you can, if you submit from that page, probably you will be able to get the Instagram filter under that name. So another reason maybe to try. And last year they had some problems, 2 weeks of submitting, because Facebook and Instagram had to do some revisions. But I think this year it's much more quieter, especially because it's not Christmas time yet. So I think it's also a good period as well to try that. And yeah, so let's start with a quick presentation of myself. Of course, we are not physically together, but I love to think that we are kind of in the same room and that we're kind of really sharing this moment and space. So feel really free to write me or just unmute and ask me anything. I really love a lot of also feedback questions, because also about from questions sometimes great themes, issues, or even problems can go out. Then just feel free to speak all together and discuss. And later we'll also share screen and do start doing a workshop. And also at that point, if you don't understand something, maybe you can write me in the chat. I think it's the best option because of some problems, issues with the camera and of turning on off constantly the video. But yeah, you can speak or you can write me in the chat, and I will try to answer and to get to stay on the problem until you solve. So as Pavel mentioned, I'm from Berlin. I work with in a visual digital field. I started as video and interactive designer. So I worked a lot with installations, with as well interactive footage. So normal footage that I turn into interactive installations. I'm from Rome, Italy, but I studied and lived in Milan. And then I came in Berlin like 4 years ago, and also my practice changed a lot here. It's a very inspiring city, and it's going a lot towards like interactive technologies, immersive technologies, and so I started more being interested in the immersive environments, augmented virtual field. And in the last period, I'm totally like switching more onto these kind of virtual and immersive platforms. I would love to share with you now just a second so you can like see what I'm doing, like some of my work, so you can get like an idea. And um, um, basically I started more, as I told you, like with the video, and in the last 2 years 3 years I switch in like 3D environments, so it involved of course a lot of digital and sculpting. This is like the last work I did. It is entirely done in VR. If you go later, like on my website, you can find maybe like some concepts of how I started working. Basically, this was a performance. So it was a 50-minute long audiovisual performance that I had to turn on into like an animation, a narrative that had to go on and on. So what I did, basically, I took my like, Oculus Rift headset, and I started like sculpting. Here there is also a video of sculpting. I can share that because it may be interesting for some of you. I was like kind of new to that, and I don't know if you can see. Like, just a second. And yeah, this was basically done into VR, and so this is kind of me going with the tools, with the headset on, and it's pretty interesting. I mean, it's a completely different world because you have everything that looks like reality and it's all around you. So you don't have any more like a flat screen, but on the other side, it's kind of yeah, it's totally a different perception of reality. It's you can tell it's not like real, and so it's kind of interesting also in that sense. But gives you a lot of freedom, also in terms of manipulation and of terms of sculpting. You can take everything and make smaller, bigger, which in reality you cannot, because if you have one size, that size like stays. And it's a very creative process because you can also dive into the things you're doing, and it's basically another feeling also with the things you're producing. So I started working a lot like this with my hands, my virtual hands. And yeah, eventually this became like this one. So I did, of course, a lot of post work in also some other 3D softwares, such as like the cinema, or I mean, if you use different ones, you can just like switch wherever you're more comfortable with, because but what is nice with this virtual reality native stuff is that they are made for being also lived as virtual. So you can just export them and, for example, put them directly into AR or VR. So they are native to their immersive environment or augmented environment. and the expert options are directly for that. As well, you can print them. So if I wanted, I could just like go and from the setup, prepare everything from the 3D print and just print like a statue of this. Apart from this work that was like a more kind of VR based and for this performance, yeah, Pebble was mentioning this other one. That was done 2 years ago, and it started like an exploration. It's a gamification of what are 3D scans and archaeological artifacts and elements. And started like an exploration of how we can do the final link between digital and photogrammetry 3D scans and turn these kind of objective and dead data, because in the end this photogrammetry what does takes and reproduces data in a digital form. So these data, I was like, how I can just take them and make them like alive again. So I was taking basically skeletons of dead animals. Some I have even on my this is my personal page, and I had like different stuff here also, like kind of what is happening. Okay, like a knife and artifacts that are made by the man. And this was the crocodile nerve I was we were speaking about that eventually was turned into a character. So I was making like gaming characters, and eventually I was working on this project with a friend, and we turned that in like in a performance that was as well long, like 1 hour. It was we used a joystick to dive in, and then there was a lot of live audiovisual work doing with lights, with camera movements, with I mean, it was just taking life, and it was super fun because you could just take out a narrative out of this. We did an environment, and when we put the camera in, there was this kind of characters popping in like enemies and moving around and stuff like that. But also like yeah, the photogrammetry and the 3D scan was a big inspiration for this project. And yeah, this one was another one. I'm just showing you basically the last projects from Berlin that I presented to Atonal Festival. And it was as well kind of performance. We were asked to do an animation that could also last long. So, you know, you cannot work frame by frame, like it's insane. What I did is to make this main kind of a character that looked a bit, I mean, I did all the sculpting and the features, and all this shading that you can see, it's real time. So this is why like the quality is so kind of a bit digital weirdy, because actually this is a real time like screenshot. It's not a render. And nothing you saw even before, it was mainly all like a real time. Maybe the first work was rendered. And then this first character, I make it walk. So he was walking all the time. I put 3 different cameras so the public could see like the front, down, these are the feet, and then like on the side. And during the time, we could see at the beginning, first this like kind of figure emerging slowly from the darkness, and also the music was like kind of starting. And kind of after that, from this kind of intro part, we started pushing like the lights and the walking. And after that, we changed kind of the environment around, and we put textures and graphics. This was also a collaboration as well with another graphic from the Netherlands. So it was kind of a collective work, complementary. It was nice to work also like that. And in the end, we meant to go from this kind of figurative, minimal figurative, to these kind of different worlds through the set. In the end, we had this kind of deformation of the vertices of the 3D that we did also real time, everything. And until the shape had no shape anymore, and it was all kind of a fluid mess. But pretty intense, like as a feeling during the performance. And in the end, I just put everything kind of. I worked with the patterns and I turned them off so I could have like just plain colors and like a lot of strobe lights, and the closing was going towards, you know, like from form to the formal, and to just plain colors, black and white, and in the end just like it was a lot of light strobo, and the narrative went kind of that direction. So yeah, I will go. Okay. And yeah, basically when I work, I just love to think in the sense of what I can do in real time with the audience, and what I can do in how I can like engage people to get them into something that it's like a story, but it doesn't have to be a linear story in the sense of an action happening, but at least in the sense of an atmosphere, in the sense of a character, in the sense of modes, in the sense of patterns, or just materials. So this is like also the point that I would love also to have with you, like in these 2 days, and to see like together how we can, for example, achieve, or we can just like stress one element onto like, I don't know, a kind of on an object, or an environment that is neutral, and make it more like magic. We will speak about mostly augmented reality, because I think also you covered a lot of stuff about like science fiction, about storytelling, virtual, and we will do some things also about virtual. But mostly we will focus on this like kind of ping pong between virtual and physical. Let's see some slides here. Do you have some questions maybe? Okay.
Just a quick one. What software did you use when you did the sculpting with VR?
I use Oculus Medium. It's
Okay.
super nice. Medium. Then you have also Gravity Sketch. That it's nice, but it's more for product design. But you can get interesting shape as well. I mean, more kind of minimal and clean. So it depends. If you have, for example, to work for agencies and to do some more kind of agency oriented kind of work, also Gravity Sketch can be interesting. I'm working, these works were in particular done with Oculus with Medium, and now Medium is becoming part of the Adobe suite. So, but you can find it like on any VR Steam platform. So just search for Medium.
Thanks.
Let's see. Okay. Can you see the slides, right? Okay, yeah. So what we can do with our technologies basically is like we can use them to to create kind of a portals, kind of connections between one world and the other. So I found by like digging in one of my like infinite research moments. There is also this blog called archive.blog, it's a portal called archive.org, where you can find amazing things from old books to music, repositories of any kind of multimedia material. And I was like digging for all the magazines, computer graphics magazines, and there was this one from the 80s, I think, and this was this Alice going into the screen, which I really love. And it's like really showing how can, in a way, like I see technology and how it's um, like inspiring me in which sense. So is if we can imagine, in particular, speaking about augmented reality and speaking about like our phones and our screens, we can literally see them as magic windows, which is, of course, for sure also for virtual, but for augmented, I think it's like the perfect description. It's nice to start with some definitions, because in the end, I think that we must also know like what we're talking about when you speak about technology, and we also have to kind of root it in time and in like as well as concepts. So computer mediated reality refers to the ability to add to, subtract information from, or otherwise manipulate one's perception of reality through the use of a wearable computer or handheld device such as a smartphone. So users' visual perception of the environment is mediated. So it's not direct as our just eyes are. Anything like from mobile devices, smartphones, tablets, PC, TV players, AR webcam, head-mounted displays, for example, Microsoft's HoloLens and stuff like that, any kind, are all this computer mediated reality. And mediated reality is actually a very comprehensive way to encompass both virtual, augmented, mixed, and modulated reality. And it's interesting because like this is really showing how like many layers of reality we have, and how some of them are just encompassed between like other and others, and some of them are just like share some points. But each time we work with the technology, we have a reality that it's not direct, so but it's mediated. What does it mean? It means for us that are crafters of stories or of experiences, that we can, if a reality is mediated, we can mediate it as we like. So it gives us this kind of a power. So this may be the outcome from this. What we usually do with augmented reality is that we can layer the informations. And when I speak about information, I mean, yeah, both kind of literally words, informations about maybe time, place, or anything, but also it can be icons, so it can be images, sounds, and augmented reality, it's all in this kind of layering on our reality of different like layers of sounds, of images, of animations, and everything else. So basically we're passing from time that we have, for example, in video, that we have in narration, that we have in all more linear storytelling, we're passing on to this more space-based storytelling that can be also like a zeta, like index zeta position of layering, if you think about that. I found this information like a few years ago, and yeah, it was kind of mind blowing to see that in 60 like 60 and then in 68, yeah, there was the first augmented reality headset produced. So basically what we see here, it's not virtual, because it was actually the user could see computer generated information mixed with physical objects. So it's just like HoloLens, basically. Such a science in a laboratory world. So yeah, I mean, it's been a while since we started doing these kind of experiments. We see here probably the guy was not able to move freely, which now we are more or less. But anyway, it was a pretty kind of a pioneeristic trial, and it was working properly, although the graphics were kind of basic. And what we will see like now is that augmented reality is a kind of a bridge between real world activities and digital experiences. And maybe here can lay the main and the core concept of augmented reality, and being kind of this bridge. Because a lot of time I was thinking how to express it, because it's not just layering on information. Okay, this is how we do it, no? Like how we achieve that. Also, the name of this workshop is Tales, Territories, and Strategies, in the sense of tales like narrations and protagonists, territories more like places and devices, and strategies like how we do some things, no? So practical. And for example, layering on information can be, it's a strategy to obtain like narration, but augmented reality itself, it's more kind of a bridge. And the user senses are not fully detached from the real environment, but they are always kind of aware of what we have around us, and we must always realize that reality is really important in augmented reality. It's physical reality. We must take it in account when we work. Today we'll see some stuff about Spark AR, and how we can do some filters. What is before starting the proper technical workshop, it would be interesting to think always in the sense, today we are kind of learning how to do that in a technical way, but on the other side, usually there is always kind of a big gap between instruments that are given to us. For example, if we go to the sample project of Spark AR, and then we found this bunny mask. I mean, okay, it can be cute, it's fine and stuff, but there is always some kind of huge gap between being able to give a more deep sense and aesthetic pleasure than to just produce I don't know, a filter that it's working. I mean, we will today be more focused on producing the filter that it's working, but you, when you work, and me when I work alone, should always have in mind that these are just tools and not the final outcomes. So it's important to focus like on what is the next level that we can create with these tools. Especially with augmented reality and with the digital realm, it has been like a few years that we have all encountered the face filters, digital avatars, and all these kind of characters that are that have slowly passed from being totally 3D generated digital characters, kind of avatars. I put Lila Michaela here, I guess you know her, and she's a kind of a weird combination between a super real person, and all her pictures are in real environment, which is a kind of augmented reality project. It's not just it's not a total digital project in the sense of virtual 3D avatar. It's more in the sense of mixed reality. I have a physical background behind, and I have my body that it's physical, but I have my face that it's kind of melted between like the digital and the 3D and my features. In that sense, a lot of projects then during the last years came in very similar directions. Of course, a lot of this work were influenced by some of the most known like artists and performers, and of Instagram filters that went super mad and like giving a lot of as well technical possibilities and potentials. But there was also this kind of post-human kind of derivative mix where kind of this is totally Photoshop. This is Salvia, first known as Salvia. It's a performer from UK. It's a very young artist. Like, I mean, it was when she started, and was like the first to put this kind of aesthetic on, just working with Photoshop, but putting in a context, you know, of real. So we had Photoshop on real, and then you can see like a switch between what looks like digital and again onto his real face. But you would tell this can actually be like easy like a 3D Instagram filter because of this the aesthetic, the feeling of everything. And it's amazing how aesthetics in the end are just mixing and doing feedback once on top of the other. Like real life is becoming like digital, and digital is going into real life. I find this thing kind of amazing. I mean, in the sense that also I think our mind is changing in terms of aesthetics and in terms of what we create and how we create. And more and more this like digital and fake is mixing with the real. It is something that I think also new generations now will have totally like as a just one reality. It will not anymore be, it will be just one augmented, constant, extended reality. Maybe just like for us, it's still, we can still see the boundaries, but soon, I mean, I have, I have prepared also here some stuff about like just to go like together, and I will some like news especially on days. You can freely tell me if maybe you have spoke with other about like these artists and you want to go on with the program, or I can continue.
Sorry, I didn't get it.
And yeah, so I have prepared some, so let's see. When first was out, like Dazed Beauty, it was super interesting. It had a lot of articles, and it still has, about like filters and how to and how like a lot of artists were creating their own way of perceiving like the face and the mixture with the digital. In particular, there is this artist called Ines Alpha, and you can also go like to her Instagram profile. She does amazing things with the filters. I think she's one of the best for sure in the field since the last like few years. And I mean, she has collaborated with a bunch of artists, probably you know her. But definitely, like the boundaries she's pushing are this kind of creativity that brings you to another kind of dimension and world. And in the end, she's even like she's using kind of difficult, you know, stuff, but it's Instagram, it's limiting a lot, for example. So you must be like more creative than technically skilled in a way to create these kind of things. Because, for example, you cannot export all kind of fluid animations or of kind of typical physics from 3D that you do. But you have to you have some limits, and you have limits in terms of size. And so I think it's a lot also about being able to design and to think in a creative like way. There is a lot of contamination between digital and physical, and all of these are kind of characters that are emerging that we see. It's not just, it's makeup in one sense, but it can be also interpreted as character in the other, because you just stop being plainly and like naturally you, and you start having some features, and you start like playing with these elements, and immediately you feel yourself more into a narrative as a protagonist, or you see the others more as a protagonist. There is definitely this like limit and cutting between like reality and what we perceive every time we have like an augmented experience of this. And so check like Dazed Beauty. It has a lot of interesting articles and inspiration, and it's this digital physical thing that it's pretty. They're also updated, also in machine learning, beauty and stuff like that. This was a nice article from here we see like more a 3D kind of approach. Colors, shaders, shapes. So you can think also of an environment just in terms of what materiality does it have, or what it's just a metallic, a totally complete metallic environment, or it's everything it's kind of fairy and transparent. Or for example, the shape animation, it's the clue. So everything it's animated, so that's why it is. Or it can also like be like the use of lights, I love to like focus when creating things like on a few kind of core parts or concept. That can be or the design or the materiality, the texture, or for example the atmosphere that it's creating or the character. I mean, not everything together because you never have time, and it's just like, you know, it's sometimes just enough to have one thing done properly and that's it. um, this was about like famous artist in music field that used digital avatars. It was Kate Moss and a lot of others that just like recreated themselves in a digital shape. I saw also like the last work of Woodkid. I mean, a lot of people is using now photogrammetry, 3D scans and stuff, but with their like Yves Tomar and I will handle you these kind of artists that worked a lot on a body image. You see this thing, you can, for example, recreate it in the Instagram filters because there is a feature that it's working exactly on this kind of similar way of deforming. And it's pretty weird because in a way we are moving towards a total kind of it's not human, it was, you know, once it was a drug aesthetic, but then it totally went from like even like moved from that kind of aesthetic into something that it's even more weirder and not human. So a lot of works miss totally any kind of human correlate body like element, and it's more into, you know, a satire or an animal alien creature that it's not existing like in a real life. But this is also how we create stories and narratives. This is also how we manipulate reality to create something totally different. And these shapes, you know, where are not human shapes, are not even like the standard alien, but it's just like something totally new. It's a post-digital something that, yeah, it's even difficult like to explain because it's still going on, mixing a lot of things differently. And yeah, this is kind of more classic maybe. Jesse Kanda, it's another of my favorite artists. And for example, he did this. He worked with a lot of music artists. Did also for Björk this thing, if you remember. I think a lot of this stuff is kind of real and just photoshopped, but then they work as well in digital, so you cannot tell every time. Looks like clay but it's not, then looks like digital but it's clay. It's weird. So it's also kind of an aesthetic that I pretty like, when you cannot tell like what it is exactly, if it's makeup or it's just like it's some kind of a fiction. Yeah. And Jesse Kanda was working with, he's a musician himself, but works with also other big musicians. And with FK Twigs, he did this video a few years ago. It was pretty interesting because you couldn't tell like what was happening. It was kind of a disturbing feeling between is this real or is this not real? But it's kind of a Chris Cunningham feeling of realness, not realness. And yeah, here she was amazing. I mean, like between a doll and you can see subtly that some features are bigger, but everything is so subtle and progressively like going more and more that on a perceptual side you have this only kind of uncanny sensation. And these I'm showing you like all these because in the end like all the filters that we are going to see today are based on totally on this kind of aesthetics, on this kind of beauties. And yeah, this is in Southwest website. I will hand you all the links so you can also explore a bit by yourself. And yeah, just like let's start thinking in terms of how to mix these kind of reality with what can be something on top. And these on top, it doesn't have to be like I don't know, like it just can be yeah a weird light or a reflection or something that it's even more subtle. Just going, for example, as we saw like on FK, like on the on one eye that was becoming bigger, you know. So things can be also be more subtly, that they don't have to be this kind of sci-fi like smashing in the face like digital. It can be also something that you're not even aware of in the beginning. And yeah, this kind of aesthetic was like kind of built during the years. And now we have some softwares with which we can work, and one of that is the Spark AR. Has someone of you already worked with Spark AR? Maybe. No. It is used mainly by for Instagram and before Snapchat filters. I think it started kind of Snapchat filters, and Facebook is behind it. Curious of a but back then I was working like with a Apple Macintosh, and I was kind of fine with that because I had like some softwares that I needed there, but I had also a very old version. So I downloaded Spark AR, and I had this old Spark AR there. However, like all the students downloaded the newest version, and this was exactly 1 year ago. And when we started like seeing the projects and the templates that opens up when the software opens, I had this girl that it's basically like for body modification. So it's used, for example, for this kind of surgical appearance, you know, when bigger lips, small nose, and stuff like that. And it was one of the most important filters. I have it here. Just let me. Face distortion. I have here the other computer. Maybe it's interesting, this kind of software kind of archaeology in a way. But what happened? I was telling like it's this one. and then like disappeared. Nobody had it except me. And I was telling them like, please, just when you use technology, have in mind like ethical stuff and consequences. For example, everything we do can like lead to positive or to negative consequences. So for example, if we do something that if you use machine learning for creating fake news, we will lead to like bad consequences. And if we use, for example, face filters to evoke a sense of a real beauty, but it's kind of kind of body modification, but to chirurgical and body ideals in a sense. Like there is also this thing that Instagram, they are telling now that they will kind of filter this kind of filters, so they will not let them like on online. And then we discovered that actually they cut off the entire tutorial. So what is there is always this connection between kind of ethical and moral things that we must think of when working with technologies, and actually like things happening in real life that show us that and there is also like a feedback from real life that it's saying this is kind of right, this is kind of wrong, or some consequences that are brought. So probably you will find you will find a filter that is similar, because you can do like body modification, but it will not be in the tutorials. And the nice thing about Spark AR is that you can connect it to your kind of device directly, and then like try the filter on the mobile, which is much more, I mean, fun to do than with the desktop. And it works both, of course, for Android and Apple. This is one of the best repositories that I think you have encountered also with the other workshop. And here we will find some elements we will work with together today. So I would say that we can start. And just one question before starting. It's do you know how to work in Photoshop, like at least some basics, so I may know like how fast or how slow to go like on some points? Yeah, okay. Mixed, okay, some basic, I mean, you know what is Photoshop basically. Yeah, okay, yeah, just because of the timings, and usually when we're all together in the class, it's much easier, because if you have a problem, but just like behave like that, just unmute and ask me things, it's fine. I mean, we're here for that. So let's start to see these. We can open the Spark AR, and yeah, actually I can. Now I will have to put the camera off, because I will have to put the camera on in Spark AR, but you will hear my voice all the time. So yeah, and for anything, just like speak and ask. So I will put it up here. Okay. And I will share the screen now. So okay. When we first open like Spark AR, we have this kind of interface, and it's a very nice software. I mean, it's it's not difficult if you don't want to. So if you have to do a very quick project and to have a kind of good level of quality and of interaction, it's perfect. But it's also a program that you can, learn in like 1 month's time and discover new things, so get it on a like next level. So it's solid in that sense. It's more of a playful tool, let's say. It's not for sure, I don't know, the most complicated software ever, but it's on the other side, it has incredibly good features and opportunities. It is native from Facebook, and you must know that and acknowledge that every time also you work with some stuff, it's nice to ask yourself, like, who is behind? Is it open source? It is not. Also because, for example, some softwares you work with and you pay license and stuff and you have your projects inside it, and then few years passes and you're not able to open any more project because the brand discontinued it, and you don't have anymore your old project. You have just maybe the outcome or the concept, and it's not nice. So usually the ideal is we have to have everything open source and in archives, so you can have even like 20-year-old stuff still available to your as a creator, but it is not. So we are just playing with tools that are maybe now and like 2 years, 3 years, okay, and then who knows. But okay, like it's a pretty solid and nice software. It's fun because as soon as you get what you can do, gives you like more and more like ideas. You have like few sections here. You can like create a new blank project. It will work first like that. But you can also like open an already done project. And here, for example, you find how it was done. And here are the templates. And the template I was telling you about was as well here. It was about the body thing. For example, this one is pretty useful and can be useful in the future. And but let's start from anew, because we don't have so much time, and you can also explore by your own, like on your own, some stuff. So when we open, there is this interviews here. This is our view that it's interesting us, and we can just drag and put it bigger. Okay. On the left side, we have this video, and here we have some presets from different people doing different kind of movements and different kind of reactions, because Spark AR, it's also an interactive software. So the filters that you do are also very often interactive. You have probably experienced yourself, like you can tap on the screen, you can turn in the head, you can activate something, going up with the head, blinking with the eye, opening the mouth. And this is why these people, it's not crazy, they're just like kind of doing all the possibly movements and gestures in order to maybe activate something that we decide. And it's also nice because once you have done your filter, you will work on your face. Now we will probably work on mine because I mean, it's like the easiest way. But the filter has to be like nice for everybody, so it's kind of it's good to test it on like different features, on male, female, birds, turban, I mean whatever, like sunglasses and stuff. I think, and then you have, of course, the option of putting the webcam. Let's see if it's going to start. Yeah. Okay. And basically, so if sometimes the computer is too slow, you can use the video that is inside. So you can just turn off the camera, or you can pause it during the development, because it can, I don't know, if you're working from an older computer or with like lesser capabilities, it can happen. So work with these videos instead with the video from the webcam. And if you have to do something in particular and then try later how it is, you can just get pause here. So apart from the screen that we are finding here, we have basically, like, let's say three main areas. On the left side, we have a scene. Actually, this scene, these elements here, is what we find here. So visually, if you can zoom with the middle of your mouse here inside, and you can drag in the same way. So zooming, and this is the asset. We are working in a 3D environment, so this is a 3D program. It deals with epsilon, y, and z. So we had our axes that are going in all three directions. And this, what we see, it's the projection of the elements and on the screen. So this is our screen translated, how we see it here. But here is our workplace, 3D workplace. So our 3D environment, it's a proper 3D environment. So SparkAR, it's a 3D program, we can tell that. And we have usually directional lights, an ambient light, focal distance, the camera. This is our camera. And also, yeah, like microphone and sound, because we can also work with sound. So basically all the elements that we find here, we find it in the scene. And then we work with the fun like graphic elements and on these asset parts that is under here. And we can choose to do that from like using assets from our computer. But today we will work from the AR library or Sketchfab, both because it's most important for you now to learn like the structure of software, and then to create like a nice aesthetic object that you will have time to do. Plus, Sketchfab has done this kind of integration, especially I think for learning outcomes, and it was amazing, this thing. So we will probably like use the AR library, but maybe tomorrow we can, or we will see, we can even like import something from the computer if and see like it's basically the same. On the right side, we have the properties and we have the transformations. Actually, when we have an element, we will do all the necessary modifications and all the necessary kind of transformations and interactions working from here. The rest of the interface, it's pretty easy. I mean, there is not a bunch of stuff. This is just our scene. Here we can test from device. When I have, for example, to plug the device to make it work, you have just to plug the computer to the telephone, and it will detect it, and you will be able to work from device and to test exactly like the scene you're working on there. Here for uploading assets and stuff. This is the virtual library from Sketchfab. So we will work with this one. And yeah, basically, like this is kind of basic configuration. On view, there is another thing that you have to remember. There is a show height patch editor, and we want to show it now. The patch editor, it's editor that shows the patches. What does it mean? SparkR, it's both a 3D program and a node-based programming program. This kind of node programming environment are environment where you have already some kind of nodes called also patches. For example, an image or an audio, and then some actions, and then you link these patches between them, and you can choose from the library that you have what you want to link with, how to transform it, and what to obtain in the end. So if we have like interaction, we have logic, mathematics, for example, if I have my mouth open more than 3 seconds, then like put all the lights on or off, you know. It's nothing like difficult, just like the tools that you need basically. And animation, it's also the main one that we'll use, it's loop animation. And also transition, it's nice for the lights, so we have like lights going all around. We can start first with as a first step with adding an object, which for now will be a face tracker. And then adding a face mesh. Today we are working with the faces, and for example, if you want to work with external AR, you use a plane tracker. So if you have to track, it means that it's detectioning the face. So everything that it looks like a face, so if you put your doll inside, it will track the face of your doll. And plane, it means that it's detecting a more wide range of surfaces. So if you have to put, for example, a rigid text in front, and I will show you the difference, like on a project that I did, and I had to use the face tracker for my face, and the plane tracker to have just like the text that it's like still like here in the front and not moving. Or when you do, for example, AR with the camera, that it's not towards the head, but it's towards the outside. So insert face mesh, because actually we had already a face tracker, but it's the same, you can do it. And you should all have now this kind of checkered thing that it's going on. As in every program, it means there is no texture on. But you see how smoothly it's like really kind of following my face, because now I have like my hair, so my features are not. But it's kind of properly following everything. And this is the face tracker that it's detecting my face, you know, in this environment. And if I go like out, it disappears because it follows some faces. I would love to like find if I have like a portrait. I mean, if you have like a picture of somebody and you put it like in front, it can also like track him, because for artificial intelligence and like machine learning, it's the same if you are like a live person. I mean, just like features. And what you have to have in mind is that this tracking is a 3D tracking. So what we see here, it's our Z position, Y, and X. So it's not just an image that I put on my face, it's a deformed image because it's a kind of wrap of a 3D.
I have a question. I'm
yeah.
sorry. Can you show one more time how did you do that? Because I don't have this chessboard on my face.
Sure. So, add object.
Yes.
Face,
and face tracker.
Face mesh.
Ah, face mesh. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. And we can create, for example, as much as we want of face trackers and meshes. And if like there is more people and we want different, you know, features and stuff for like multi environments. And there is this thing that you can notice, that this face mesh has gone under the face tracker. This is called hierarchy, like hierarchy in the sense that this is the parent and this is the children. So these children, like it's called in the programming, also in other softwares, it's not just from here. It's following this face tracker, because, for example, if I add another face tracker and name it, like probably it will be named sequential, like 1, 2, 3, 4, or just change like the name. I have my face mesh that it's like subordinate to this one. So, and everything that I put, I have always to pay attention that if I close, for example, this arrow, it disappears. And if I do this, it shows, and probably sometimes showing like a long list. And for me, it's important because sometimes when we work with this and we drag, because we drag things around, we put it in a wrong place. So it's important that the hierarchy is right. So, and sometimes if something is not working, maybe just the face mesh was you see up and not, and now it's not working. It's detecting that I'm speaking or blinking. I have my eyes closed now, but it's not following the head because the face tracker is down. And if I put it here under, I have it again. So if something is not working, just like pay attention to this hierarchy thing. The face tracker, it's this kind of bigger tracker. But what we are working now, and every time we are working on the face mesh. So we are working on this mask, or this checkered mask. And when we click on face mesh 0, that we can then also rename, we'll see, just like, let's start like this. And because it's easier because we have everybody the same names, you know. So and if I rename it, I fear that maybe we will lose each other at some point. So when we are on face mesh, we can go to like materials. It was here and it was a plus here, and I just click on the plus, and it created me this material. Actually, this material I can rename it because we will work with different materials. This is kind of a standard material that I find here. So this is my first asset. If you cannot find something, work on the arrows. Maybe it's just hidden. This material, so now I have clicked on material. We have seen the face mesh material, and now I have clicked on the material on the left. I selected this, and I have the properties here. On the right, on here, you will always find the properties. If you are selecting the face mesh, that it's blue, it's the properties of the face mesh. If you're selecting the material, it's the properties of the material, you see? So it's important that we see just like what is selected and we know on which properties we're working on. It's kind of easy. Here, for example, I want to start by doing a very kind of I can take and like change colors. What I can also do is that I can put a texture. I can do like a lot of kind of different stuff. But what I wanted like to show you is that we have different, like let's put the color, like the color back on like the white. And we can see that on materials, we have different shader types, and we will kind of use them all. They have different purposes. Flat, it's giving me nothing regarding to lights and shadows. Standard, it's a kind of standard material, 3D material. And because I have a directional light here, that it's kind of already in the setup, in the scene, and for now we leave it here. We see that when I'm going to my material and I'm using it standard, this light will be reflected. Then if we use physical based, it's a kind of a material super nice. And we go on like metallic and roughness. We also have this kind of a metallic reflection. This is because this kind of material called physical based, the PBR, or physical based rendering, and you will always find it in the 3D, since few years it was from a gaming field. And these kind of materials are amazing, are so beautiful. I work a lot with them since I discovered them. They can do very realistic things, and they can make you achieve super realistic effects for real-time technologies. So anything that is augmented reality, virtual reality, or real-time, like interactive DJing, whatever, or gaming, of course. And This is because they have this as well, this roughness and metallic moment that normal material, standard material don't have. So it's a like added quality that they have. And also here, I mean, you can just like change in whatever mode. Then after physical, there is face paint sometimes used, blended, and like different assets. And now we will go to retouching. What does retouching do? This camera, it's a bit noisy, but for example, I have a bit of a bags under my eyes, no? And actually, I already fixed them on the Zoom stuff, but not that much, don't worry. But for example, any kind of filter that you find, almost any kind, and everybody that's using filters, they want to look nicer. So even if the filter is about anything else, you have this kind of thing to have the skin a bit smoother because you feel better with yourself, no? So you got, and the first base that we put on our filter, it can be this retouching. And then skin smoothing, don't go too much because it's kind of, I don't know, around 40 maybe. It's also this camera, it's not so good, so I cannot tell if it's 40 or 60, depends. But don't push like too much the limits. It's yeah, 60, 50, whatever. And you can also like choose if these properties are for the whole screen or just for some areas and stuff. So usually like we put this kind of basic smoothing filter that here we go and we put it's like retouch. So I rename it here. Double click and you just change the name. And later you will find these under materials. And what happens? On the right side, there is face mesh 0. It means that this material, now it is on face mesh 0, but it's an independent material that we have created and we can use it, non-use it, or put it on another face mesh. If I go and I add another face mesh here, and I put it under my face tracker, okay? Just like put it like this, okay? And now we create here again another material because we want to start working, for example, create new material, or we can choose again the old one. You see now I have a choice, create new or use this retouch that I have here. And more the list is long, more here also the drop list is longer. But I want to create a new material and I want to choose to have my eyes. We are on the face mesh 1 now. We can choose also to do masks without eyes and now let's go to this new material 0 that we can rename like Photoshop. Let's rename it Photoshop because we will create first like 2D 2D graphic. And then we will do like a 3D. So this will be my like a Photoshop material. And here I should choose a texture that I don't have like now, because we have to create it. And to create it, we have to go and to help, download face assets. Because in the download of the face assets, we will have an entire package of things that basically are giving us the possibility to create images and to create even 3D faces that we can put into cinema or, I mean, whatever, and download. No, it is.
Is everyone following? Anyone have questions to ask Paulina before she moves on?
Yeah, I was wondering, where do I find how to download those face assets? I clicked on help, but there's no button there for me.
Help and then download face assets. Otherwise, you can go, I think, on
Say download face assets. There's no button there under help.
You can go on Spark.AR official page, or just like put Spark.AR assets, and I think it will like lead you until here, because they're kind of part in one of the most like important part of the program. Of course, they cannot like put it inside because we need it on our computers. But you should also Google. Just like see sure you're on the Spark.AR, on the Learn. So people tracking using face. So Learn Spark.AR. Learn articles. People tracking. This. It should work now, right? And then we download it. We see that we have what we have inside. It's like a 3D face mesh that we can use in 3D programs. Then we have FBX and all 3D formats. Then we have a PNG for a feminine masculine face that we can use in Photoshop, and that we are going to use now. For example, if you have to do filter that it's more universal, maybe use a male masculine face because of the dimensions. But if you're doing a filter that is more girly or stuff like that, just use that in the feminine. And under this, you find meshes that are our 3D objects. I use them, for example, in cinema, because on top of them, for example, I then model or place my 3D models, but I have this kind of already face that it's done, and it's like for sure working. And here I can choose if to just You see, this is why I'm saying all the time that SparkAI is a 3D program. It's not a 2D program, because even if when we are working with 2D images or with 2D elements, for example, this image like of a face or for the makeup or for anything, we will be using what are like, this is a UV a map for unwrapped. So a texture for a 3D object that it's kind of open, unwrapped. And that's the mesh, how it looks like in 2D of a 3D object. So we really need this one to have it then properly like on our face when we see ourselves in the camera. I will open this feminine, but it's the same. And let's open it in Photoshop. And then we can also just start searching for a random like PNG, because now the most important thing is that like we managed to create these few assets together, and that's like we can see like the difference between what it's like a 2D workflow and a 3D one.
Sorry, which one was it that you opened? Because
it was the feminine JPEG. It's
also
in
the JPEG. Okay, good. Thank you.
It's in textures, because in mesh it's 3D. So the meshes are 3D while the textures are 2D and are applied on 3D. And I chose the feminine because I have smaller face, but it's the same. I mean, it's more or less. They don't have like kid size, so I don't know. And just then let's go to and search kind of yeah, we can search for like yeah, flower PNG or whatever you want. I mean, search for like PNG. It can be of, I just chose this because of like the first thing in mind. But it can be also like a star, rocket, whatever. This one can maybe be interesting. I save it. You can just use a like basic tattoo or even you know what, a written word in PNG, a brand, a logo, whatever. We are working with PNG because we need a background that it's transparent, and we will see why. So we put inside. Oh no, it's not saved as. Okay. I'll have to choose another one. Or. Basically, we need a transparent background. So a real PNG image. This is a JPEG, so it will not work. Otherwise, we have to do a kind of a little bit of a work in Photoshop to put out the background. This is a PNG, so this may work. This is why I was asking, like, if you know how to use Photoshop, because in that case, I would just have to, you know, do the outlines, and which now I really wouldn't like to lose time on that. But anyway. We can, so what I did, I went to the magic wand, and then I rasterized this level. It was a JPEG. So if you are dealing with a JPEG as me or something, you just like, or a not proper PNG, I just like rasterize it. And with the magic wand, I clicked and I deleted, because I just want the flowers on the face. And then I can add, what I can do now is rotate a bit and make it kind of smaller. And then one very important thing that I want to show you is that when you're dealing with 2D in textures for Spark AR in Photoshop, you see that the face here on the edge, it's kind of widened and it's stretched. The same you have to do with the images you're putting on. So you have to deform them a little bit. And how do you reach them? You go on Edit, Free Transform. So File, Edit, it's like next, Free Transform. And then here, probably you will have sometimes to open again the file and then like do the last kind of modifications, because maybe you did it too much or too little. But it's good to like know that. And also you have here some this, so you can work also with this. And yeah, you stretch it in a sense of the face mesh. Okay, now I'll try to add like at least 2 more things, just to have like a more it's not Star Wars, Star PNG. Yeah, for example, this one can be good. This one is even. And another thing that can be, I don't know, make it smaller. And I want to put it more here on the side, so we have to stretch it. I rasterize the level, because when I rasterize the object, I can modify it. Without rasterizing, I cannot modify it. So if you have problems, just like click here on the and rasterize it, and then this select, because if it's selected and it has like the selection, you will not be able to work on. So I go here and transform, free transform. And again, with this one, I guess I will have to do things like this. Maybe it's too much, but I'm just like, let's give it a try. Especially because it's not on the sides. So the more we go to the sides, the more it happens. And okay. I go layer from background on the face, okay? And then I hide it. Now, I save it as PNG, like under the name of, yeah, Photoshop. Now I'm back in my Spark AR. You remember we have two-face mesh. One was used for like retouching, and one was the material that I'm using because I want to put in my texture. So I go on Photoshop or the material 0, I don't know how you rename it. Then on this material, that is a standard material, I go onto this arrow and put new texture, and I search. Okay. So you see, actually the deformation was kind of good. Here it was too much because it's on the front. But here it was kind of good and nice because it was then if I wanted, I could, for example, add some makeup or to go like, there were also some things for kind of, I remember people doing, I can put someone's face on mine, like, yeah, I know I can try like Lil Michaela or something like that. So just like another face, it's gonna, it's too small.
anyone manage to make a little face filter? Want to screen share what you have with Paulina?
Yeah, what I wanted to try is to like push a bit and to make you see like actually that we can also like go more into like creativity and details. I will go faster now because just like Photoshop work. So basically I can, for example, take the makeup from here or from some makeup artists that you particularly find an inspiring, or even from a painting, from a character, whatever. And then make it like as a so you can work in different ways. This is like what I'd like to show you, that you can put a lot of different stuff inside, even one with already done kind of aesthetics, or you can just like draw into Photoshop a lot, or just put inside colorful lines of stuff, and then like pattern, for example.
I have a question because I can't connect my phone with a cable to my computer because something's just completely off. Is there any way else to send it to try it on my phone? Or do I have to connect it with a cable?
I think you have to connect it with a cable. You must have the cable connection is must. Because otherwise you would have to send it on a library, Instagram library, where they review it. But the workflow is going through the cable.
Oh, okay, thank you.
So, yeah.
I have a question. How did you get in Photoshop the part where you can like kind of adjust the like skew the like PNG that you put on it?
You mean this queue? No?
Let me see. Yeah. What are you in?
It's free transform, and then you go on skew. Like
okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, you have to rasterize it like before that actually. It's free transform under Reddit. And then this. And yeah, I mean, now I will try to be more because of course, much time like you spend onto, the better it looks like, and the nicer it is. But it's just like fine tuning. So we have to put again like this kind of off. Yeah, I will just, I think, erase this file and save. In a PNG format as before. So Photoshop 1 included. Okay. So now that I have done like few things that can be like seen, I can upload new texture under textures, and then like new texture, and add this one that it's more kind of colorful. I hope so. Yeah. It's kind of sticking to the face. It's just like to make you see how it's kind of pretty. It's becoming a bit dark here. Yeah, okay. And so this is the workflow for the basically for the 2D textures. So you can make everything you want. It will follow your face, and it's pretty fun. You can also write things like written, like with in Photoshop with letters or whatever. And I have put it a bit on the side, so now it's. But you see that are following as well my expressions.
Lena,
yeah.
Can it be also adding like animated stuff? You know, like sometimes they have like water flowing, or this is just created as Earth. What do you create that as before you make it moving on your face?
For example, for animation, there you have to export the animation from Photoshop, and there is a specific way of importing like new animation sequence. It's the same from here, basically. So once we make in Photoshop, for example, this animation, the same under this texture, we just put new animation sequence, and alone it does like an all the job. And there is like a small animal on the side that it's appearing, and it means like an animation. But what usually it's animated, it's this thing. I'm going to do like another like material, create a new material, and I will call it PB lights. I will call it lights because I want to do with you like animated lights on my face, which are always super nice to have, even like on like its base. And these lights that I will, so we have the retouch, we have the Photoshop that is 2D. Let's have the lights that are, we go on physical based. And we go like something like this. So we want some kind of a reflection. And from here, we do an something kind of like this. We see now that we have kind of some lights, and we can also put color on that light, and now these colors are changing. So let's put a red, and then add another object that is another light. So if we scroll, we can see that we can add a lot of different stuff. But what we want to do now is that the second light that we have, and it has like another name, is rotated a bit. So we click here, we have our little spot where we can take the objects from our scene, and we can move them more away or more near. This is the mesh. We cannot see it properly, but it is, because it's kind of transparent. And now I want to like kind of, you see, move these lights. But actually I want to animate it. So what should I do? I open the patch editor because SparkR, it's very nice and lets you animate things. For example, I want to have a feeling of being like in an environment, and so to have like lights that are moving on my face. I may as well leave it as now, like with, I can also check it like visible and invisible. If I check invisible, I have only my first directional light, red, you remember? Now, if I check it, I have my second light that it's another color, and it's much way nicer when there are two different colors, for example, blue, or the more diverse, the better, like this. And but I want to animate them. So I go to the light that I want to animate, and I click here on the property that I want to get animated. In this case, because I set the position from here, and I can set the position and the rotation, everything here, I can also set it from here, some of the basic stuff. But to animate them, I must work from the right side. So from the properties. So I go to the second light, that is the yellow one. And I say my position is fine because one light it's more left and one is more right.
Sorry, I am clicking on lights, but nothing is happening. I made my little filter, and that's working, but nothing happens when I click on light.
On light, maybe it's not enough. You cannot see it properly. Is it visible or invisible?
I have changed both visible and intensity, and do I need to like on layer? Do I need to change like which layer it's attached to, or?
They should go like here up. You can just here up.
That's where I'm not. Do I need to move the even light?
On the same level. And maybe you have to move it like from here.
Like mine doesn't look at all like yours. My face filter is there, but after that, there's like nothing. I don't know.
One thing, do you have your lights? It's a physical based render shader, right? Because it's standard, it's not working. I mean, it's working, but it's different. You see, it's just like kind of coloring. Well, physical base, it's
I don't know. I'm following along, but there's nothing happening when I'm clicking on lights. But I'll try and figure it out.
maybe the metallic roughness. Have you gone? You see this?
No, mine, like my face filter isn't. Uh, do I need? That's what I don't understand. Like, do I need to save it as lights?
So let's start. It's kind of so go on one face mesh.
Yeah.
Like let's erase the first one. So it's because it's the same. We can just add them and then add the materials that you want. Go on to face mesh, then material. Create a new material. Okay. And now these materials should be called like material 0 because I have unnamed all, but it's the last one in the row here for sure. So you just click on it and then you put it in physical based. You make it reflective.
So should I leave my Photoshop filter while doing this? I should be in the material.
Maybe put it like that you don't see it because the ideal thing it's to work with it's to work with multiple like materials, but like one at a time, because then we exactly know like what is going on, and we have like a clean approach, like in both like in a hierarchy here and here. So just maybe put out the Photoshop texture for a second, and just put on the face mesh the material, the new material created with physical base.
How do you edit a face mesh?
A face mesh, this is a good question. I wanted to see with you. You edit it with using using the alpha. So when you go to face mesh, and for example, this is really ugly to see, no? This thing around. It's kind of, you see it a lot, and it's going all over my head, and it's not proper. Plus, sometimes you can make masks just like for this part, or for the down part, or for like half of the face, or you know, the mask that are splitting in 4. This is why we are actually using the alphas to put on this face mesh. And to do that, we will do this in a few minutes because it's also important. Yeah, I don't know how to help with.
No, I'm not mine. I'm just as it is right now because something is not following along.
I think no worries, guys. Like you guys can revise on the recorded lecture later, like to start the exercise from the beginning again. So maybe like Paulina can move on to some of the stuff, and then you can have more like tools and materials to learn later. Yeah.
Okay, maybe later, yeah, I can just like go back onto this onto this one. What you can do actually, it's like to do a new kind of face mesh with a new material and so on. Like restart from the zero. It's always my kind of solution. So once we are here, we want to animate these lights, and then we will do another thing that was the other question. It's like to kind of make it more blend with my face. First thing, I want to animate the lights. I want to animate actually the second light, and I go to the rotation. So I click it here. Every time I want to rotate something, I have to go to click on the right side, and it will appear in my patch editor. How I arrived in my patch editor, it was so view, hide patch editor, view, show. And things once put here will not disappear, so don't worry. I have to just, okay. Then when I click in patch editor, I can see that there is a kind of library, and I can choose loop animation from this one. I just put loop animation, add patch. Okay, and then I search for transition. Animation, transition, add patch. There are a lot of them that you can explore, or both for interactive things or for animation. But one of the basics is like kind of loop animation and the transition. The loop animation, what does it do? It animates in a constant loop. It can animate from beginning to end, and then again beginning to end. And we can, if I disable, it will not work. I have to enable it. I can put how many seconds, like if it's slower, faster, like let's put 2 seconds, just try. Then start and start and start and. What does it mean? I have chosen not my position. So my position will remain stable. My scale will remain stable, it's a light. And rotation, it's what I want to animate. So I can put, for example, the lights are usually going 360, no? So I can put 1, and then here 360, it's the end. Because we are dealing with lights. If we were to deal, for example, with animation that was doing like a transition from a certain value to another, but for a scale that is going from 0 to 1, I would put as values 0 and then 1. And then it would go only 0, 0 0.1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 0 0.91. So it's a kind of a limiter, you know? So I kind of like this, but it would be maybe better to mirror it. You see? I like more mirroring. And I kind of like the effect. So I'm like, I also want to put it on the other light. So I go to the first light. I do the same. I click on the rotation. I have my rotation here. And I copy paste. Try to work tidy in the sense that what you see, but now in a way the 2 lights are overlapping. So what we can do, it's maybe like yeah, change values here, so they are going, you know, in a kind of different directions. Or just maybe it's better to put it also here like this, because it's just like how they are turning in the environment. And for example, I may like to like loop one light, but not like to mirror it. So I have then to copy paste also the loop animation, put off the mirror. So now one it's mirroring, while the other is just like going all around. And here also it's a bit of work of how like do you obtain something with effects and you can also vary the intensity here. And you have, yeah, a bunch of different animation things that you can do. But I want to be like to have this duration one. But because it's going to the Z, it's always on my face. So I will not put it here. I will put it here. Okay, now I also see here that it's different, you see? Before it was kind of going constantly like this, so in front of my face, so I was always red, although it was rotating. And now I can see it's different. So this is my material light, which I'm gonna maybe put like the opacity even more down, because I just want it to be like a side effect, but not the main one, you know? So it doesn't have to be kind of too pushing. But actually, maybe I like it kind of more strong, but these like borders are pretty like nasty. I mean, you can see them, and they are not so nice. What we can do, we are going again in our file on our face. We can hide this, for example. And now we take just like a white brush and a new level. And what we do is a thing like this, basically. Now we put on the minimum, the hardness. Because I want my mask to be a kind of very kind of subtle on my face. Okay. And now I am hiding this, and I'm saving again as a PNG. And I can call it alpha border PNG. Now on the same light, Just I have to try, because I'm still working with the old Spark Air. Basically, we have to do a mask. What it's an alpha mask that it's limiting the face mesh, and it's making big as much as we want. And usually we use soft borders in order to blend it with our face. And alpha border, just let's try. No. It's on face mesh. Here you can find, yeah, on the face mesh, I didn't mention. For example, when you work, you can work for only for, you can do a filter that is using both a front and back camera. So if I'm going to see like my room, I'm going to use the back camera, and I don't want to show something also on my front camera. So I enable this when I'm exporting the filter, and I work only like with back camera. Same stays like with this, because maybe with the same filter, I can detect a face both in the room or on myself. So if I want to detect it only on myself when I'm holding the phone, I will disable back camera, you know? And the same comes with the front. So it's like another choice that we can do, and it's I mean it's used for this. I have to find the alpha. The alpha usually works when we do a face mesh, then create new material, for example. On this new material 0, when we are on the standard mode, we have this alpha that we can enable when it's flat. And then we should kind of use this kind of does someone want to ask something? Because I see a lot of messages. Okay. And this flat is going good, for example, with this alpha border. And this is, for example, how we are doing on the same like what I should do. It's kind of a merge this thing.
Paulina.
Mm-hmm.
And where else do you think besides Instagram can this work on? Like
What
aside from Instagram as a face filter, where
if
else?
yeah, if you connect it, for example, with the with the telephone, you can use it as an installation. So it's kind of you can do it like in a real physical space without having to without having to deal with Instagram, and without having to deal with approval first. And so you can connect it, for example, on big screens like television screens. And in that way, like you can have like an audience coming and having the filters going around, or even the camera of the phone pointing towards an environment. So you can do augmented reality and face detection in an environment with big screens and the phone camera or the webcam camera. I mean this camera. You can use, for example, the tablets, and here there are a lot of different exports and things that you can also check. Because now we are working on our iPhone 8. But for example, you can choose from here a Galaxy or whatever you have, Google. I mean, a lot of telephones are missing, but these are kind of the standards. So and the iPad, for example. So you can have an interactive installation with the iPad or a screen that is properly working. And yeah, what I wanted to show, it's like the 3D part, because all this, it's kind of now going more into how I layer it. So what I'm choosing, like to as like one base on top of the others, and it's kind of a composition thing. But we have like kind of all the elements here, so it's more kind of management of. But for now, we have seen how to kind of retouch a skin, how to import from Photoshop, and how to use animations with lights, how to use borders, because we should start then do compositing. The fact is that I would love to show you like kind of at least the 3D thing, and then, for example, with all the elements, and then, for example, tomorrow we can just merge them like all together, because they have a kind of a hierarchy, in the sense that one thing is masking the other, then the smoothness of the skin has to go like down because the 3D object has to go up and stuff like that. But like, let's first finish everything, pack it inside, and then once the elements, the animations are in, we just like do the settings at the end. Now, like, let's see the 3D realm of the filters. We have seen that we can animate things and do some kind of environment, but let's go to this library. It's our, and let's click on 3D objects. It's our sketch fab library. And we can search, for example, for mask, just to say, like, or crown. Like, I really like this one, Ghost in a Shell. It's one of my favorites. We have to download it, of course. And probably you will have to be inside your Sketchfab logged in. So if you are not, probably it will ask you now to like, but because I was, it just like downloaded me without problems. Now I'm going to click onto this, you see? And I see that I have all my elements kind of here. What I need to do is to put my mask on my face tracker. But what is happening? It's kind of way too big. So what I'm gonna do? So it's not so important now, like the face mesh. It's more important the face tracker for now, for the 3D. I will work on the scale. And I suggest you to work from here manually, like putting 0.5, 0.5, 0.5, and then going down grading. But we can also work, from as well from like here. The third one, it's the size, but it's kind of it's not that precise. So what I'm telling you, it's like to do this 0. For example, 3, 0.3, and 0.3. 0.1, 0.1, and no, it's too small. Yeah, okay, a 9 here. Now I can think maybe of working from here, because I will just hide for a second the visible. So we don't have to erase elements. This is good. So we can leave all like the face meshes we want, all the trials, because now we are working in a trial environment, and you will find yourself very often with a different kind of materials that you created, your assets, the textures that you have imported from Photoshop, and 3D objects that you have. And so now it's getting more and more full with stuff, right? But we maybe want to just see some things. So what we need to do is just to hide the others, for example, if they are just bothering us. And this is a good thing in the workflow with and then here the position, for example. I can tell that it's a bit like the position, it's too much. Here it works already better. You see, it's more like on my face. But I have like to admit that it's kind of more fun when you can see partially the head, because at least something kind of is happening. So let's try to see, for example, sunglasses. or a crown. Some element that is going around the head, but it's not hiding completely. Like a, yeah, a hat or something. Oh, this is maybe too much. I go back here. Oh, this looks funny. It's redirecting to the studio. Something have crashed, look like. Yeah, it has crashed, but no worry. It's not me, obviously, but I will go here. Yeah, still my lights and my mask, it's still, they're still there. I just want to add from the library that kind of, I really want glasses. When you download, you also have to tell like which asset do you want in. And now I should find my glasses here, yeah, right? But they're totally wrong. So what I'm gonna do is going to rotate them. Then to scale them by to position them. But you can already feel how like things are starting to pile one on top of the other, and how, for example, I can then animate also my element, because the same animation loop that I did on the lights, I can do on the position of this stuff. And the complexity, it's already kind of changing and it's more visible. So sunglasses. Okay, and I will just go on hide the. It was better with actually. Um, but anyway, yeah, I have still my like small glasses, and we can basically do this with everything that that we want. It's just like a matter of adjusting things and positioning them and compositioning. But you already see that we are kind of piling up things. I move this. What is another thing to do that we could? It's just to take, for example, another face tracker. If we need like to do a more complex like way of working, so that we can, for example, have both kind of both meshes and both things. So we just have to add object face tracker. And now under this second face tracker, we may add like our face mesh that will have like, for example, the lights. And so when we want to start doing like a kind of more complex way of behaving, we just add face trackers as it were layers in Photoshop, for example. And in this way, we can have kind of we can work more like clean, and then decide to have like which material we want, and also like the style if we want to push on something that is more and we can also then do a lot of different ones and then just hide them and just like try between them like how they fit best and what are the best combinations. But the most important things is to put our first assets inside and to have like our materials in. So now we have like 2 3D objects, textures, and materials that we created. What we miss, for example, now it's interaction. So, for example, if I wanted to make something appear like disappear. I'm seeing like what time it is. I just want to show you, and I will also handle you the project we are working like in. Just like. And I may add a few features as well. Okay. I was doing like this project a time ago, and I had to like make appear disappear logo. So I will just show you like quickly. And then I will also implement it like in here, because otherwise we will don't have time. Let's see the PhD. Okay. Yeah, you can have, by the way, like different projects together. This is what I was telling you. This was kind of for a magazine. And it was cool because I had to deal with two things. One, it's kind of interaction. So when I do this, it's kind of, it should like change this, but I will stop it from here. And then on for doing like this text, I had to use the plane tracker because I didn't have like to. I couldn't like link it on myself because the face tracker is linking to the face. So if you want to position an element which you might want inside SparkR, you will use plane tracker and position this element fixed on the plane and not the face, because otherwise it will go on the face and it's kind of not. View show hide patch editor. There is this face finder that you can work with to do interaction stuff. Now it's kind of buggy because probably I had like two cameras on. So be aware that all these programs, when you have more than one camera on, you see it's kind of bugging because the signal it's not clean. So it may not work. So close everything, especially if you do interaction stuff, and work only on one program at a time, on one project at a time. Now I have two projects, one, I don't know why I opened here. Okay. So it can go on some kind of buffer mode. Anyway, I was working on the patch, basically using this face finder. I will put it in the patch in the code. The face finder finds a face, selects it, and then you can change. You can choose between, for example, head rotation, and you can as well like select any other kind of from interaction, like I use head rotation, but you can use kissing face, mouth open, it's the most common. You can use like the smile or the left eye close, although I found out that the more clean is the message and the gesture, the best it will work the filter as well. So just like use the most common ones that are usually head rotation, head nod as well, maybe happy face, but it's too much for the people, in my opinion. Mouth open, it's kind of a common, it's a standard, so it can be, and also smile, it's super nice. And the blink as well, it can be good because it's really detected from the stuff. But I didn't use because of kind of you can blink by chance, or it's sometimes heavy on the eyes to blink, no? So yeah, basically, if you have like problems or stuff that are not working, remember to start from the beginning, because maybe the camera it's not taking the like a clean signal, and then it's not turning into the workflow, or maybe you have a few things open, or just restart from the beginning with the materials, and have in mind that all that you have in your assets, it's what you have been doing, and it will stay there. And just be clean with the names, and yeah, basically kind of it's then all that follows, it's how you put things on top one of the other. So the best choice is to make like more face trackers kind of on top, one on top of the other, and more face meshes. Tomorrow anyway, we will have another a bit of a time together, so we can continue on like doing some stuff. And maybe you can try also comb something, and so if you have like some kind of a problem, we can well, we can see it like together. I don't know what you're thinking about, but
I think maybe right now they could share whomever that has half
yeah,
made
yeah,
created, even if it's just testing and adding a lot of weird stuff. Betty, you want to share? Screen share?
I have kind of an issue because I accidentally turned off the camera preview thing. So I can't see my filter anymore, and I can't connect my iPhone cable to the computer either. So I can't take a screenshot like that either. I have to solve it first.
Yeah, for the
wow. Wait, I want to take a screenshot.
I want a screenshot from this too. Yeah, just.
I like your little friend on your shoulder.
Amazing.
Little Dobby or Dobby.
I love it. Yeah.
Nice.
And, yeah, it's nice because we really can like use and do like super mega compositions on one side, and on the other side, like with few animation stuff, like interaction animation, we can just like get some parts without them, so go back to reality, and then go back to this kind of of augmented reality. And for me, like Sparky Area, it's incredible for this reason, that you basically can find yourself in totally immersed in between like puppets and objects, and you can wear like medieval knight armature and have mini ponies with rainbows all around and glitters. And in a second, you can just turn on, with one interaction of the body, you can turn on everything, or just piece by piece, and you can then like in this way like kind of build or unbuild things. So this interactive part, it's my opinion very important. And for example, we can treat it a bit tomorrow, like at the very beginning, so that while you're still fresh with this topic. And then later on we can pass to web AR, that is a bit different and it's less personal, so it's less fun in the sense of yeah, it's always more playful when you have your face with funny things around. But anyway, does someone had also like bigger issues? This thing about super nice. I want all the screenshots.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, to share them.
Whatever that is. What is that? What is the concept? Football field beer.
Yeah. For this one, it was we really needed a more like male face, but it's super. And Yeah, for the other 3D things, you can also play around with the tutorials that are already in Spark AR. And instead of their objects, you can upload your and put your instead of their, for example. And plus in the tutorials there is like the bunny ears have a good interaction workflow, so you can also be based on that if you need. Anyway, at the end of the today's, I will handle you also some files that you can play with.
Awesome. Do you guys have any questions?
I have one last question. How do you import an environment texture?
From the outside, right?
Or like how do you put it into the, like, do you add an object with that? Because I have it in the assets, but I was wondering, yeah, how to do that.
It's there should be like a part where you don't go from the library, but you add from the computer. And the one thing is that it's very important, and this is why today I didn't do with external files, is that they have to be really not heavy and really like reduced to the maximum, because the most that it can handle, like Instagram, it's kind of 8 or 10 megabyte. It's really low, like it's really low. For Instagram, it's like less, it's like 8 megabytes. So you have to have like an asset that it's super low poly and it has like less than 8 megabyte, because it's 8 megabyte along with textures, lights, and environment when you export.
Well, I found like the ones in the Spark AR shop or whatever it's called.
Okay.
I mean, is that?
But is it going like it's going? What is exactly your question?
Maybe I can show you what I'm working with.
Yeah.
So here's my face again. Like I have like this little bathroom or this texture. How is that supposed to be like a background? Like
yeah, you have to treat it with like a plane. If you do a plane tracker,
okay.
Then you put it under plane tracker and then you drag on the Z position. It should work.
Cool.
But then you have also to unmask your body, and there is this thing about it's called not called mask. It's called segmentation. I don't know. Each software has its own vocabulary, you know. So the concepts are always the same. But just like somewhere it's patches, then somewhere it's graph, and somewhere it's node. But for searching, you have to add for sure on the basically plane, so not on the face. Then you have to drag it like on the Z, so it's going back. But I don't know how to react on the body, for example, because it probably is going to cut the body or to hide it. You have to make a mask that it's also going on the same plane tracker. And I think it's called, their tutorials, it's called, I will search for if it's segmented, or it's not silhouette, it's kind of body something. But it's plane tracker plus and like alpha layer that is also kind of this shape, and in that way you're immersing into the environment. Yeah, maybe tomorrow we can do the interaction thing. I'm just writing down a second.
Very serious about what she can offer to you guys.
So interaction and then the plane with the background. Yeah. Okay. I think this you may need probably, and then all the other stuff, you know, it's kind of more or less the same. It's just more about modifying or just fine tuning. Does someone else has like questions or stuff that would love to try?
I'll have a question actually. So if you mentioned that the class could create like multiple face filters that could be added into the entire exhibition Instagram. So like is it like they can add as many as they want if each team, for example, there are 13 groups?
I think so. You know, it depends on Instagram if they approve it or not, or how. So basically, the thing is, the faster like they are developed, the more like the less time it takes to have them like on, as I know. But sometimes they might not approve a filter or something from some reason, you know. It happened though, like to like a cousin of mine, and she's like a designer working in the Netherlands, and she did an entire exhibition using the filters that were still like were on the computer, so they were not sent to Instagram. And they used big screens. It was super fun. There was also a lot of kids, and it was, I mean, it was one of the like nicest museums in the Netherlands. And then later they sent to Instagram, and Instagram, I don't know why, they still have to approve one filters like on 3, but randomly. It didn't have nothing like a social thing or a body thing. It had nothing. It was totally like unrelated. So this is the only thing. But you know, like a lot of people are just constantly doing filters. So also like living in fear, it's stupid because it's done for that, and it should just, you should wait 2 days and it should be okay.
Okay. Thank you. Anyone else has questions?
So for others to use your filter, you have to upload it on Instagram.
Yeah. Yeah.
So is the question like, is this only unique to Instagram? Like the
Yeah, it was before on Snapchat, and now you have it also on the Messenger. They say that, but I did never try on Messenger. They added because they melted.
So not really on other web platforms or whatever. So Spark AR is quite unique.
Yeah, it's for Instagram and Facebook. But there is a thing that you can try it on your personal Instagram profile before it is approved. So I don't know if it's like on a local base or what. But anyway, like it's like, yeah, you have, we're living in a world where we have these problems of having the monopoles of the biggest and so that we cannot like decide exactly where and what, but the level of the distribution is amazing. So if it gets on Instagram, you reach everybody, you know. It's kind of, so this is why the filters had so much success during the last years, because even like the kid somewhere in the world and he's working can like use it.
Maybe you said it before, but have you been using this in your work?
I was mainly kind of commissioned. I collaborated with a makeup artist, with a friend, and he does like amazing stuff. So I was basically like more kind of technically giving him background and seeing how we could. He was even published on Days Beauty in the first issues, and so we were working together on a bit on this stuff. And then I was also commissioned by another magazine for doing also another filter. So basically it was mainly like kind of clients, and still I had another one, but it's kind of 1 year long project. but everybody kind of is asking augmented reality face filter also in the work field, because they just like they know they reach the right marketing audience. They know they can get a lot of followers if the filter is good and is get used. So it's also something that is used on a marketing basis a lot. And so it's both creative and it's a kind of a powerful tool, because you can put inside whatever you want of your narrative storytelling, that concept behind. But on the other side, and you can use it on a local level, like doing installations with iPads, iPhones, and screens. But you can also put it online and get a wide range of public and audience. So yeah. Basically, yeah, I think we covered for as far as concerned this kind of first approach to the like augmented kind of characters and filters, and the way to use augmented reality on our faces, and how to achieve like um, immediate like a response from the digital environment. Spark AR for now, it's the absolute leader for sure, because any other platform you use, it's more for augmented reality, but not for faces. Well, today we have been like focused more on the digital beauty, on the avatars and the characters, and on turning us someone else, and turning others someone else into someone else. So into this kind of storytelling that it's involving more like a personal presence in the environment, and on mixing hard this environment with a digital one, with a fantasy one. So giving this kind of imprint. And we have seen a bit of different aesthetics that have emerged during the years, aesthetics that can be a lot digital. Also me, I have downloaded a total like digital geisha mask, and that can be a mix between like a makeup that covers so the features are seen from the people, or that we have like an environment that is augmented and kind of mixed with us, that we have maybe some just parts, so we are integrated in there. And what we are gonna do tomorrow is to continue to explore this kind of augmented and mixed storytelling. And we will see mainly how we can, for example, tell stories both with maybe words, with 3D elements that maybe we create or we download, and how to turn this into an environment that can be explored online with using like iframe. And we will be also a bit into the virtual side, because the iframe gives you the possibility to do like a VR website, very basic, not Unity with Unity's capabilities, but it's still a very nice to explore and to build. So we will also see that. So this passage between like the physical, the augmented towards like the virtual, and on with the A-frame, you don't with the VR you don't need anybody's approval or nothing. So it's also like a big plus. But it's another way kind of reasoning and approaching. So yeah, like let's we'll see that tomorrow. And if you have like questions or even ideas or creative ideas or whatever, we can also talk a bit about that a bit tomorrow, one before starting. And I would love to see like how it has like impacted you, also like on a creative level and everything.
Yes, and on that note, like Paulina, it not only is super talented multidisciplinary artist, but she's also a theorist. You can ask her about anything. You know, she's like into philosophy, she's into archaeology, psychology. I mean, she's the ultimate geek girl that I know. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, so like she is more than willing to discuss a lot of I guess narratives to or the reasoning to why you do what you do. So I think she's also on Slack. Like do not hesitate to like DM her and grab her and say, hey, can we discuss, would this narrative be applicable in the digital tool that we're experimenting, and why is it appropriate, or why would it be interesting to kind of combine the tool and the narrative, and if not, maybe something else. I'm sure that she can share a lot on the alternatives or the appropriation of your narratives to the tools that you're learning, or the other way around. So
Yeah, you're right. And because sometimes there is this kind of, as I told you, kind of a gap. This is why I started a lot pushing of these kind of digital characters, because visually they are super powerful. And visually we can create very powerful experiences. But on the other side, we don't have to forget the narratives and the consequences and why we're doing something. So the emotional response we want to give. Or for example, the tools that we are using are the proper ones. So if I have to put it in one environment, it can be like the right solution. But if I have to put it in another one, maybe I choose something else. So it definitely is something that has to be a dialogue between the softwares, the tools that we have learned and we are learning, the theory and like the philosophy behind like these mixed reality and mixed reality spaces and storytelling, and on the third side like the creative ideas that we have. So just let's continue to like integrate them constantly, and yeah, basically see you tomorrow, and write me on Slack also, because I have all the notifications and everything.
cool. Thank you so much, Paulina. Thank you everyone for sticking through. Like it's late, but then I can still see that you guys are like quite, you know, charged with inspiration. And thanks for the commitment. And everyone will have a nice dinner and nice evening now. Thank you, Paulina.
Have a
Thank you, Paulina.
Very interesting.
Yay.
bye bye.
Thank you.
Ciao.
Oh, grazie, ne?
Wait to see their Instagram soon.
Ciao.
Ciao.